Welcome to Preparing for the Unexpected. Today we're going to talk about data leaks, and I'd like to welcome to the show for his first appearance Tim O'Hara, Vice President of Data Risk at Hack Ninja. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Alan. Welcome, everybody.
Now, let's jump straight into the topic of data leaks. You in the past have talked about SEAM, and I hope I'm getting this right, SEIM. Can you explain what you were talking about there?
Oh, sure. A SIEM is basically a security incident and event management system. It's basically like a watchful eye that's continuously monitoring the data infrastructure or the technology infrastructure to identify like that I'm not logged in um, Australia and in Chicago at the same time of day because that's really not possible.
So is that like a AI thing, or is that an
Um,
operations person sitting in the data center?
it's probably both now. When they came out before AI, uh, but basically, but the idea behind it is it's a way to correlate events and activity that's going on to identify, yeah, if it looks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it's probably a duck.
So is this the it's more the incident identification, it's not response, or is it part of the
Correct.
response?
Yeah, it's identifying and profiling the information. Yeah, I mean, getting the information to someone who can decide. You know, in some cases, they do shut things down. Like, you know what I mean? It depends on the severity of the event and how uh the system is configured. And there's several vendors, you know what I mean, that operate in that space. And that's not something that I do, but it's something that we see a lot in our in working with our clients.
Well, let's let's take your example where you logged in two places at the same time, which obviously you can't be in two places at the same time. What would this do, and how does
Well,
that information get funneled over?
well, like I said, they're gonna probably configure an alert to somebody at a security oper in in a security operations, role. You know what I mean? And depending on how sophisticated their security operation is, they might have a SOC, right? They might have a group that specifically does that, or it may just be, someone who has security part of their responsibilities at a smaller company. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that the sophistication of all of that and depends on the nature of the business, but basically they're just, they're going to get an alert that'll say, hey, this is going on. Again, depending, they could have a configure that says shut them down. I
Hmm.
mean,
Both?
but sure, I mean, it's all what they want to do. You know what I mean? Right? Somebody's going to scream probably when they do that, but that might be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'll
Depending on
find
their
out
coach.
where the real Tim is.
Right. You got it. And where he's not. Hmm. Correct.
Now, you've also said in the past that professionals, and I'm assuming you mean security professionals, or maybe everybody, needs to think across the organization.
Yeah,
What do you mean by that?
that's everyone. But the reason is people think about risk management typically within their process. My process starts here or my department. It starts here and ends here. Um, the the challenge is that's not the way business transactions happen, right? Business transactions happen across the company and between companies, right? So, um, And so, and now on top of that, there's, the changes and the different types of communication with third parties and all this happens. And that's where things break down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of because of this. So that's a big thing where blind spots that people have a lot of times.
So what we need to think then, what everyone should think is all the information that's coming in and everything we do with that data within, and then what we do when it goes out our door, we need to be concerned with that entire end-to-end flow, not just all the
Not
different
just
points within
right.
our world,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Yes, absolutely right.
So what kind of things should we be considering so that we don't have data leaks along the way? Now, for the record, we are going to talk about some of the communications and change piece in another segment. So you can touch on that, but don't get too much into it.
Right. Okay. So yeah, thank you. So technology changes are one people, right? So I gotta break it down in the people process, um, your counterparties, right? Your clients, your vendors, right? Your products and services, and then and how it's going to impact your profits. Those are the things, the the changes to any of those affect everything else. Do you understand what I'm getting at there?
Yeah.
And so and as you change your processes, the technology is part of that, right? Because it's the underpinning of the operations or the finance or the compliance functions that operate within a client.
Now, with all of that, you mentioned earlier on who's got access to what. So does there need to be strong permissions or access uh, monitoring to ensure that the right people have access to the right data so that
Uh,
Alex, who doesn't need access to it, the risk hopefully is less so that people like me who doesn't have access, then I can't leak the data. I can
correct.
only see it.
Yeah, and it's
Or
not
if then.
only people yeah, a big area there is the change. So when there's internal transfers of, people get a new role, they always give them their new responsibilities, but a lot of times they forget to shut the old ones down, or
Mm,
they may need them for a couple weeks, or terminated employees. I can't tell you how many times I see terminated employees or contractors whose access was not terminated.
yeah, I never understood that. You don't work here, so why are you, still on the list? But yet, when I need permission, it seems to take forever to get it.
Right. But on top of that is systems in development. Um, and I know we're going to talk about that a little more later, but with AI rolling out, um, and with I'm seeing a lot of issues in clients relative to that, and we'll hit that in the next segment.
Yeah. So with data leaks, it can really happen anywhere then. So what do we
Mhm.
do if we find that, no, you know what I'm going to say? What are some of the other ways that data gets out there incorrectly? Let's go come from that end.
Oh, what are ways that data gets leaked, in other words?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So it's accidentally shared by someone. Um, so somebody's using a generative AI platform, uh, and they take their customer list and say, "Hey, can you analyze this for me?" But that implementation is not inside their firewall.
Hmm. So then it can be drawn by anybody
Correct.
who happens to be searching for anything like that.
Correct. Um, Another way is people give their credentials away. Um, they get fooled by an email, that
Mhm.
this looks like my payroll system. Oh, it needs me to change my password. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And you just gave them your credentials. So people give it just, or on phone calls or deep fakes, right? Um, I know of a situation where a widow just lost 40 grand because her daughter was on a class trip and like, Mom, I'm stuck, I need help. And it was late at night. She wasn't thinking clearly and sent 40 grand.
Hmm. That actually happened, almost happened to me and an aunt. I was in just returned from London, and she had received, and she knew I was there, and she received an email, same thing. I'm in London, missed my flight, and now I need some money to take care of. So she panicked, got upset, but she called my mom first.
Oh,
And
thank
my
God.
mom, thank goodness she did. And my mom said, no, he's already home. Don't worry about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, if there's anything, whenever you're in a situation where you're being pressured to send money, call the person, do some extra steps
Yeah.
before you do it, because um a lot of times it's really not what you think it is. I actually know in another situation where there was an $80 million loss, the same thing. And actually, the financial institution actually called the client to confirm that the wire transfer was valid, but the hacker had also compromised the business owner's mobile phone.
Ooh,
So, um, so that another way, these things, um, keep antivirus on them, keep it updated. This is a way data gets leaked.
yeah. Yeah. There, people leave them. I remember when they first came out, they were so protected. Everyone was protective of their phones. Oh, my data's on there. And now you see people with them all over the place, putting down. And, it's like, what? Now that everyone's got one, it's not a concern?
Right. And just like I said, have antivirus run it, keep it keep it patched, keep it updated, you know. But
Right.
yeah, so those are, I mean, unfortunately there's not a limited number of ways data gets, stolen and exfiltrated, but the thing is, even in testing systems, when companies set up a testing process, a lot of times they'll use production data to simulate before they roll out.
Mm.
And you have to secure those servers, and just like it's production data, because
Yeah.
you're using production data. I see a lot of issues there, or even in like in BI and analytics, when they're doing the cross-sell upsell analysis or different kinds of things. I can't tell you, a number of times I've found data lakes um, that were the set to display publicly instead of private. It was just somebody hit the wrong button. Excuse me.
Yikes.
And so, yep. So configuration is an issue, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So I really thought it's about process, content, and configuration. You know what I mean? Somewhere, the combination of those three.
Yeah.
Um, if there's something wrong with one or more of those, at a point in time, you could have a problem.
And I think that's a great spot to end our first segment. Today, we're talking with Tim O'Hara, Vice President of Data Risk at Hack Ninja. And we will be right back with our second segment where we're actually going to talk about governance, security, and small business. You don't want to miss that one.
Thanks, everyone. Look forward to talking more.